Come on. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Football's back, baby. That is the Sunday night music, Sunday night football theme. That'll be tonight, be the Patriots and Steelers, which should be a interesting game if you've been following football the last couple of days. Antonio Brown, who used to play for the Steelers, went to Oakland in the offseason and then had all kinds of issues there and then asked to be released, which he was. And then the Patriots signed him for a 1-year deal. So the Patriots are going to be facing the Steelers tonight. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be playing today because even though he's in a new system, it's probably not that different, though. It's possible. I don't know what's going to happen, but it would be a way to sort of, I guess, cap this bizarre beginning of the football season. And that's what it is. This is episode 312. Dylan Knows Fall is the name of it. Blah, blah. I'm all scatterbrained because I had 2 people watching. I had 1 person watching. So thank you for watching and hanging out with me, and hopefully be more interesting. And hopefully doing some stuff you like. I got lots of stuff I'm be talking about today. I'll be doing my fall movie preview. I did my summer one earlier and in the year, and it was good. Let me see if I got my papers, though. If I don't have my paper, there's my paper. Good. So I got my paper. There's a little bugger. So I'm good on that. So I got that for that. And I figure I'd do it now at 10:45-ish on a Sunday because football does start at 1 p.m. My team is the Ravens, hence my Ravens outfit. I will be trying to do my show more on Saturday nights like I have been doing it, but due to unforeseen events like last night, we actually went to a barbecue/game night at the house of one of my daughter's Scout friends. They're well off, and it was a nice house, the nice pool in the backyard, and they had a smoker, and we smoked hamburgers, and we played a great game called Lovecraft Letters. I love these types of games also, H.P. Lovecraft stuff, so it was fantastic, a lot of fun. I actually won one of the games, so yay. So it was fun. They also have, my wife was extraordinarily excited about this. They had a kegerator, so they actually have something that they have in bars, where they put the keg underneath and you get tap beer, cold and refreshing. So they have that. So my wife didn't want to leave their house, but it was cool. My son had a fun time too. My daughter, though, was at her friend's house, but still, everyone's all friends and it was great. So it was a fun time. So today, we're talking about a lot of weird, stupid stuff today. We're going to talk about Harry Potter being banned for a very strange reason. We're going to talk about one guy's plan to how to stop hurricanes from happening, which is, again, quite bizarre. We got some new trailers coming up, including a bunch of the fall movie preview stuff. My fall movie previews coming up. I've got crazy people, stupid people, kind people, awesome animals, depressing news for the United States, salted caramel Milky Way, a Christmas story, actually, believe it or not. Let's see what else. A new kind of gin, which I don't think I would even want to try. I'm not a gin fan anyway, but this just adds to my, what the hell would I do that for? It's the fall season almost. Fall actually obviously starts on September 23rd, but September is meteorological fall. So you're going to start getting all the fall stuff coming out there. I talked about pumpkin spice spam earlier. We've got a pumpkin spice thing that's quite unusual. And to be honest, I think it's going to be utterly disgusting. So we'll cover that in a little bit. Not a lot actually in here, but it should be fun. So let's start off with the top right here. St. Edward's Catholic School in Tennessee is banning all Harry Potter books. Now, I'm not a fan of banning books, but if for some reason you feel that it goes against what you want to teach, stuff like that, it's your school, do what you want, I guess. I still find it reprehensible to ban books, but I understand your mindset. But to ban the Harry Potter books for this reason, which is because they include real spells that could hurt people. Yes, that is the reason why they are banning this book. Not because of possible, witches and wizards go against God's teachings and stuff like that because they're dealing with mystical stuff like that in a fictional way. No, they actually believe that these spells, Expelliarmus, Avada Kedavra, Crucio, all those ones that are in the Harry Potter series, are real ones that can be utilized to hurt people. So everybody out there, Crucio! Come on, man. Seriously. I've lost a little bit of respect for you on that end. Again, I think it's reprehensible to ban books, but if you had a better reason than that, yeah, okay. I can maybe see your point, but no, because the spells are real and could hurt people. No. And you call fans of like Buffy and Harry Potter delusional because of their obsessiveness with the shows and movies, but at least they know they're not real. They just like them a lot. Here's another winner for you. Florida man. Where else would it be? They've been dealing with Hurricane Dorian. Hurricane Dorian is not something to be laughed at, obviously. I talked about it last week when it was starting to form. It totally demolished Bermuda, which is awful. And luckily, lots of people are over there trying to help get them all set. People are spending their time, and there's people sending generators over and food, and people building the infrastructure, doing stuff that our government honestly should be doing. But again, I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to lose my 2 viewers who might be, what is he saying? But this is one, a Florida man was being interviewed last week during the whole lead up to Dorian coming to hit them. And he was going off on, he can't understand why we allow these hurricanes to keep happening. When, and I quote, this is actually on video in a Florida news station aired it. He says, when we have the world's greatest Navy, why don't they just take their boats down towards where the hurricane is and dump ice in the Atlantic Ocean so that it won't strengthen? Dump ice in the Atlantic Ocean so hurricane doesn't strengthen. And then I think he also says about get pilots to fly the opposite direction the hurricane is going to sort of help break it up. My God, I don't know what to say after that. We need a better educational system for a lot of reasons. And we need to have a lot of people get over the fact that science is actually real, because it is. It's not fake news. Everything is not run by God. Science is real. And if you knew your science, you would know what an impossibility it is to do that in the Atlantic Ocean with currents and temperatures basically in the 80-degree mark, where as soon as the ice hits, it would melt and it would get acclimated to the warm water. It might be a slight temperature degradation of maybe 1 or 2 degrees, which is not enough to stop the strengthening of a hurricane. Let's continue on the stupidity aspect. Why not? A museum staff accidentally breaks off the beard of King Tut's mummy while changing a light bulb. So you have King Tut's, his coffin, I should say, not mummy, but his coffin. And, if you've seen King Tut's coffin, it's in the shape of King Tut. And he's got one of those long, black, sort of barry beard type of things. And apparently when somebody was changing a light bulb near this sarcophagus, I should say, not the mummy, the sarcophagus, they hit the beard part and it went. Now, look, to be fair, that sarcophagus has been underground for centuries and was only dug out back in the 1920s, almost 90 some years ago, almost 100 years ago. and brought out. So obviously, they've tried to keep it in a temperature control, humidity control type thing, so it doesn't degrade. But eventually, you're probably going to degrade. The problem is, when you have a piece of metal or whatever sticking out like this, attached like that, eventually it's going to get weakened, and it was just a matter of time, I guess, that eventually it would fall off. But still, to smack into it and have it go crack is, I guess, I honestly, maybe I shouldn't say it's stupid, because I just explained why it's already probably brittle. But still, the fact is, you got to be more aware of the historical artifacts you're around. Okay, even if you're changing something as simple as a light bulb. All right, good talk. Continuing on our stupidity trail, mom shoots intruder, who turns out to be her daughter, who was surprising her by coming home from college for the weekend. So, I guess the mom was out shopping. She discovers her door's open. She walks in, grabs her gun, and before she says anything or does anything, as soon as she hears movement, she fires. And didn't kill her, but shot her daughter, who was trying to come home for a nice weekend with her parents because she missed them, and ends up having to go into the hospital and now has a bullet wound in her. I'm just going to continue the stupidity trail because I got a whole bunch of them. Brazilian mayor calls for a ban of a specific Marvel comic, which features two male characters kissing. When he goes to all the stores, or has his group go to all the comic stores in Brazil to get rid of all these comics, he discovers that every single issue has been sold out. Meaning, the mayor of Brazil is the only one who's offended by the fact that this comic features two men kissing, whereas the fans of the comic have already bought it and sold it out because they wanted to have the comic. And probably not because it was two men kissing. It was a #1 Young Avengers type of thing that I haven't seen. So I find that kind of fascinating and interesting when you look at a specific person's belief system, believing that what they're doing, particularly a political officer, believing that their beliefs are held by the same people that they are governing because, hey, they voted for me, they must like what I like, which, is not a bad thought process to have. But in some cases like this, there might have been a few people that were upset by it. But at the same time, there's still a lot of people that weren't because the book sold out. So if you were trying to do it to protect people, yeah. All right, so what else we got? Let's get away from the stupidity for a little bit. Let's get to something really nice, actually. As I mentioned earlier, Hurricane Dorian unfortunately wrecked the Bahamas, and it sat on the Bahamas for a day or so and really, really did a number on it, which unfortunately we have lost last I heard, was about 30 people died during that hurricane, which is a disaster in and of itself. If one person dies, it's still a disaster. But to show again that there's still some caring left in this world, Hampton University, which is, I'm not exactly sure where Hampton is. Let's see if I can look this up here. Where is Hampton University? Hampton University is in Virginia. Okay, it's at Hampton, Virginia. This is Hampton University. I did not know they is a private, historically black university in Hampton, Virginia. It was founded in 1868 by black and white leaders of the American Missionary Association after the American Civil War to provide education to freed men. Notable alumni include Booker T. Washington, Wanda Sykes, Alberta Williams King, Spencer Christian, Rick Mahorn, Charles Wesley Turnbull, and St. Clair Drake. So that's pretty cool. They are offering a free semester to students who went to the University of the Bahamas that were dispersed by the hurricane. So I guess the University of Bahamas got hit by the hurricane, obviously because the Bahamas got hit pretty hard, and there probably some damage done to their campus. So classes probably are going to have to be canceled for the year till they repair it. And because even if it takes only a few weeks, you're still missing a few weeks of education, and that's not fair to the students, and that's not fair to the schools who are trying to repair things. It was not their fault, not their intention for this to happen. It was a weather activity. But the fact that Hampton University is offering students who are displaced by the hurricane and the University of Bahamas to come up to Hampton University and finish out your semester. It might not be the exact same stuff you were taking, but at least you can treat it as a transfer for one semester. You transfer to Hampton University, you do your classes there, and you don't have to pay for it. In this case, you don't have to pay for it. Hampton is willingly allowing you to get a free education for a semester. And then if you want to go back to the University of the Bahamas when it's repaired, because it should be repaired in time for the spring semester. If you want to do that, then you just transfer back, and what you learned in the Hampton University will transfer over to University of Bahamas education, and boom, you're not going to have to go extra time, and you've actually continued your education unstopped. A little bit of a issue getting up to Virginia and then finding room for everybody, but Hampton University is offering it, and I think it's a wonderful idea, not only to help people who are displaced, but also, if you want to think about it, also they could also sort of use it as a way as, hey, you know what, University of Bahamas is great, but hey, if you enjoy your time here in Hampton University, maybe you wouldn't transfer here, forever, and finish out your education here. I mean, that's not the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it because of the kindness of their heart, but you got to think about those other aspects as well. Maybe one or two students will be like, you know what, I kind of like my Hampton University experience. I met some really cool people. I want to sort of stay around here. And then you start paying for your education that way. And who knows, maybe it's less expensive than the University of Bahamas. I don't know. So it's up to, it was not done to get people to say, hey, we're going to go to Hampton University instead of the Bahama University after everything's said and done. They were doing it out of the kindness of the heart, saying, hey, you guys, we don't want your education to be interrupted by this. Come on up here. We'll take care of you, and you can transfer back everything when you go back. So I think that's great, and applause to Hampton University on that aspect. A Florida farmer grew a 3-foot-long avocado, and I don't even know how it's even possible. And it's weird. I mean, avocados, are those egg-shaped sort of looking vegetables. This is like egg-shaped with an elongated sort of tail. So I don't know. I guess it's still considered avocado meat for the most part, because it still looked like you could, peel the skin off of it, and you get that long strand of avocado along with the avocado you get with the regular avocado. So it's a possibility that that could be something that could be interesting down the line. Fisherman catches a 9-foot catfish, which is a record breaker. 9-foot catfish. They had a picture of it and everything. It wasn't faked. It wasn't anything like that. It's a freaking 9-foot catfish. That sucker's huge. And if you've ever seen the movie Big Fish, you know the catfish can actually get pretty big. So, wow, 9-foot catfish. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Guy catches a cell phone on a roller coaster. Now, you've probably seen this story, went viral. When you're on these types of rides, you've got to be careful that everything is secured in your pockets, or take them out of your pockets knowing full well that you're going to be doing, stuff like that, because your stuff's going to be flying. Like, there was a good example was when we go to Hershey Park, my daughter and I like to do the swings that they're on the ground and they rise up and then they go around in a circle. And you're probably 50 feet off the ground, maybe 100. You're way off the ground though, and you're spinning around. And I saw one time, someone's cell phone flew out of their pocket and actually survived, because I wanted to see what happened. So I saw it fly out, and I went over, and I just happened to be passing the person whose cell phone it was, and they looked at it, it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's not busted or anything. So that was kind of interesting that that survived, but still stuff like that's going to happen. So what I do is when I have when I do those rides like that, I try to bring my pockets, my cargo pants, the ones I have on right now. They got all these pockets and stuff. So you put that your stuff, your phones, your keys, whatever in those pockets, and then you button them up or you Velcro them or whatever, and pray that buttoning is better because the buttons, unless they're really loose coming off, they're not gonna budge. And so I do that, and I've never had an issue losing anything on one of these rides. But in this case, someone's cell phone flew out of their pocket, hand, whatever, and luckily, just because I guess where the various people were, the cell phone just happened to come by in this guy's general direction. This guy saw it, grabbed it, tried to grab it. I mean, he was trying. At least he was trying to help save it. And if he missed it, at least he could feel okay that, hey, I tried to save something. But he actually lucked out and boom, grabbed it and like held it tight and made sure that by the time the ride was over, he was able to find the person who it belonged to and gave it back to them. So that's kind of a funny story. An interesting story about that. This one's a bit more dirty. And since I really don't have any, and I'm going to have a couple of these, and it's live, so it's 11 o'clock in the a.m., but obviously there's probably no children watching, because why do children want to watch me, right? Anyway, this also has a connection to amusement park type stuff. There's a video of a woman who is having an orgasm on a slingshot ride. So I don't know exactly what the slingshot ride is, but you actually see her going through the motions and moaning and all this stuff. And I think her boyfriend's next to her, and she has this weird look on his face or something. So that's kind of funny. So I don't know how they got the video, but it's still it looks real to me. So let's talk about some food here. Hostess unicorn cupcakes are coming. Hostess cupcakes, the devil food cake with the cream middle and then the icing on top. Well, this one is a unicorn. That's like a pink cream with like sparkly things in it. And on top is like all kinds of pink and stuff like that. So if you're a unicorn fan, it's probably just going to taste like the typical Hostess cupcake, but it's going to be pretty colors and some sparkles on it. So that's nice. This blew my mind because I absolutely love salted caramel. And the fact that Milky Way, which is mostly caramel, is going to be creating a salted caramel Milky Way is absolutely enticing to me. I love salted caramel. I guess it's that mixture of the salt and sweet is so perfectly balanced that, and the thing is, the sweet of the caramel is so sweet, and the salt is very subtle, but it somehow is able to mix it together so that they complement each other. That's why I absolutely love salted caramel. One of my favorite creamers, which is not really available. It's mostly available more towards Christmas, but you might be able to get it at Target or Walmart now, is the salted caramel mocha one, which is absolutely amazing. And it's out now, but some places like my grocery store doesn't have it, which is weird. They have the sugar cookie one, which honestly, the sugar cookie creamer really doesn't taste like anything. I mean, I put a little bit in, I put a lot in, and you just taste it, and there's like no flavor. It's like, okay. And they also had the peppermint mocha, which is more of a Christmas one as well, is out there as well, but they do not have the salted caramel mocha. So I need to hit a Target or a Walmart eventually to see if they got it. We got a couple of nice big ones, or go to the new Giant that we have opened over near us, which is huge and redesigned. It's pretty neat. They usually have some good stuff. Not expensive, but they have some good stuff. But salted caramel Milky Way, I'm going to be on the hunt for those. And I have a feeling it's going to become one of my new favorite candy bars if I can find them. So maybe, the best place when you want to find this new type of stuff, the best place to go is like gas station convenience stores. Like down here in Maryland, we've got the Royal Farms and we've got Wawa and the 7-Eleven. I think 7-Eleven is nationwide, but I think Royal Farms is local. I think Wawa is local-ish. I know there's some Wawa, I think in Pennsylvania, New York, maybe New Jersey, down in Virginia. I think there's some, but it's not as big a deal. But I mean, you have stuff like, you have your Sheets, and you have what's the one that we do the we have an account at my work. My mind is a blank because my work is just like, I'm not going to think about work right now. But yeah, so those would be the best places uh, to get that type of stuff if you want to. And then, eventually sometimes you might get surprised. Sometimes you go to, a Walmart, Target will probably have it also. But if you go to your local grocery store, you might be surprised, like, oh, wait a second, you have this as well? Okay, pretty cool. But yeah, salted caramel Milky Way is a real thing and should be really good. Now for coffee fans, you go to Chicago. Starbucks has just opened their 4-story Starbucks. Now, before you're like, how can you have a 4-story Starbucks when it's just coffee? Well, it's not just coffee in Chicago. The 4-story Starbucks is actually the 4-story Starbucks and roastery. Starbucks actually creates a coffee roastery in the building. So they roast the coffee that they serve in that building right then and there, and you get it like fresh out of the roaster. So that's actually kind of a really neat idea. And also, I'm pretty sure the roastery might even be used to help, because you don't just want to use it just for the people who drink the coffee in Chicago. They're probably roasting it to ship it to other Starbucks in the country, or you can get your Starbucks coffee at the grocery stores and stuff like that. So if next time you're in Chicago, check out the 4-story Starbucks roastery complex type of thing, and get a tour of how coffee gets roasted and done. And then, hey, you get the fresh roasted coffee right out of the machine in your Starbucks coffee. That's actually a really neat idea. And maybe that's, I'm always trying to find a way to get my coffee shop open. I can't really open one now in Reisterstown because they're opening one here now, and supposedly Starbucks is going to be taking over a building down near the high school. So I need to find a different place. Now I have an idea for another place I'd like to go, but it wouldn't fit like having a roastery there to roast the coffee and then serve it like that, which is kind of a neat idea. So good on them to do that. Speaking of the Bahamas, Sean Connery, who you haven't heard much about because he retired from acting a while back, he actually is living out his retirement on the Bahamas. He's 89 years old, and he stayed on the island and worked out the storm. So he was fine, and just didn't want to, he'll probably start helping, recover and stuff like that. But he just stayed on and decided, hey, well, I'm not going to leave my house, and we'll see what happens. So the Maleficent Frappuccino is now at the Disneyland Starbucks. The Starbucks always has all these crazy new drinks and stuff like that. And I guess the Disney ones have specific ones for these characters. I don't know much about it, but there is a Maleficent Starbucks coffee. And now there's also, let's see if I can find that also, a Cinderella latte, also from Starbucks, which is pumpkin spice and white chocolate mocha mixed together, which actually, in my, sounds pretty good in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Here's some weird stuff. How about some new fashions for men? Lace shorts and clear plastic shorts, both of which make no sense to me. Particularly the clear plastic ones, because that's all it is. It's clear plastic. So if you're wearing boxers, briefs, whatever, you put the clear plastic shorts on, you're going to see your junk, and you're going to see your boxers and underwear and stuff like that. It makes no sense why you would have that. And then lace shorts is just, it doesn't look right. And not because it's a non-masculine type of thing, but a lace short, I think it would even look bad on women. So I don't know. The fashion world has always been weird anyway, so who knows? Lego is releasing audio and braille instructions for blind people and deaf people who want to learn how to make Legos. I get, and that gets me thinking. It's like, I mean, how are they going to be able to find the specific Lego they need? Maybe the braille instructions or the audio instructions will help them with that. But it's good, though. I mean, it to help for somebody, so that more people who have blindness or deafness, whatever, can go and actually do stuff that regular people do. It's just, and whenever something like that is available and happens, is always a good thing. The CDC is warning people do not kiss chickens, live ones. I would assume you wouldn't want to kiss dead ones. Sorry, I just heard Jinx meow. Yeah, you can't kiss chickens, Jinx. Sorry. But yeah, you don't want to kiss. Oh, yeah, you're coming down. So yeah, I'm telling you, you can't. She's come down the stairs now. Maybe she'll pop up and make an appearance. We'll see. You didn't poop, did you? All right, come on down. So you can't kiss chickens, live ones. That's what the CDC says. They don't say why you shouldn't. They just say don't kiss chickens. Okay. Eddie Murphy. He's got a new movie coming out that'll be going, I think, straight to Netflix. It might have like a small premiere at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, whatever, so that can be eligible for the Oscars coming up. But he's doing a movie called Dolomite Is My Name. I've talked about this before. I talked about the trailer. It came out a few weeks ago, and it looks like it's a good comeback movie for him. It looks like something that will actually show that Eddie was a good actor. It's got some comedy beats in it as well, but he also has some emotional aspects as well. It's from the writers who brought you Ed Wood, People versus Lee Flint, Big Eyes. That's like their forte is these like real autobiographical type of movies. They like to write these all the time. It's their interest, which is great. So they're writing this one about Dolomite, who is based on a real blaxploitation actor. So it's about his life and stuff like that. Eddie plays the main character. Also brings back Wesley Snipes, who's trying to make a return as well. And he looks pretty good also as well in it from the few scenes we've seen of him in the trailer. And because they had such a blast working together, they will be working together again on Coming to America 2, which has started filming now with Arsenio's rejoining them as well. And I probably would not be surprised if James Earl Jones would be in there in some form or another, because he is still alive and he did play his dad. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there some form or another. So you got that coming up next year. Good on that. A dude pranks a golf ball drivers, guys that, when you go to golf courses, a lot of times people are just practicing their driving. You hit the golf shooting range, stuff like that. Well, this dude decided he wanted to prank some people. So in this world, I can't believe he was actually able to do this. So he was standing next to a guy who was, hitting the golf ball. So as soon as he hit the golf ball, the guy pulls out a gun and shoots it like a clay duck type of thing. That freaked the dude out who hit the golf ball. And so he did that to a bunch of different people. It's interesting looking. And as I said, in this day and age, I don't know how he did it, but he did. The United States is ranked 47th in a new poll as the best place to live out of 64. So we have a lot of work to do, and I know where we can start, but I'm not going to go into that. Boom. What do we got here? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. That's a great Quentin Tarantino movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't think you'll be able to see it anymore. It's out in theaters. You might be able to find it here and there, but it will be coming out on DVD, Blu-ray very soon. And also, there was an interview I think Brad Pitt was giving for his new movie Ad Astra, and they asked him about it, and he said, he's heard rumors that Quentin is thinking of breaking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, into a miniseries when it goes to streaming, which means he will add deleted footage and re-edit it so you can have like 4 1-hour episodes. And it was already like a 2 hour 45-minute movie. So if he has a bunch more stuff to fill in there, even if you have just 1 more hour in there, you could maybe somehow break it up into 4 55 50 some minute bits and re-edit it that way, and then release it through streaming as a mini series with episodes like they do, Netflix, stuff like that. Now Netflix is doing something else also. When I talked about Disney Plus last week, or not last week, a couple weeks ago, one of the things that they're doing, because I know I did this story elsewhere, one of the things that they're doing is they're not going to release their shows, the Marvel shows, the Mandalorian, all that. They're not going to release them in one big dump so you can sit there and binge it over 2 days. Here we go. Instead, and that was what Netflix was doing. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what Disney wants to do, but I'm also okay with Netflix saying, boom, here's all 13 episodes, or here's all 8 episodes. Because that way you don't have to wait. You can watch the whole thing in one sitting if you're up to it, stuff like that, or at your leisure. And you don't have to go, oh, I got to see it every week, not like old TV show. But because Disney Plus is doing that, I guess Netflix is not doing it for all their series, but they're thinking about doing that as well. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I get why you want to do it, but I also kind of like the idea of letting the people who like to binge still be able to binge stuff, because if, the people who like to binge, they're not going to probably want to watch everything one at a week. They're probably going to want to wait till all the episodes are out and then they'll watch it on their own. So in the end, it's really just taking longer for your people to watch it, whereas you can get more views on it if you dump it out right away. But I'm not in charge. Let them do what they want to do, but whatever. Eddie Murphy. I somehow got off the path about what I was doing about Eddie Murphy. When I want to hold another topic, but Eddie Murphy, because he's got Dolomite coming out, he is going to go out and do a stand-up again. So he's going to do a stand-up series around the country. So he's going to be going to different venues and doing a stand-up show, which is cool because that's what Eddie Murphy started out and where he got big. So he's probably had some time to get some new material. And now he also has age, which gives him a chance to look back at what he was like and then start talking about things that are important to him now that he can joke about now and stuff like that. So it's actually quite intriguing. And I hope somebody maybe videotapes it or whatever and releases it on a Netflix or Hulu or whatever, so we can watch the whole thing. If he's not coming to your location, I don't think he's coming to Baltimore, but and even if he was, I don't know if I would go. Not just because, just because I don't know, because I'm not a big going out to do stuff thing guy. Some bad news. India. Now, a few months ago, I think Israel was going to have it was last month, July, actually. Israel was going to have a moon lander land on the moon around the time of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, but it crashed and they lost contact with it and it crashed. Well, India has launched one as well, a moon lander, and it has been lost contact with also. So now this is starting to become sort of like what Mars was like back in the 90s, where everybody who launched a probe to Mars, it somehow ended up getting destroyed in one way or another, which is still, it's coincidental, but it's also kind of, that's kind of interesting. So in this case, though, the fact that Israel and India, who've never really done anything like this before, maybe this is their first chance at it, and they were hoping that it would be successful, but the fact that it wasn't maybe isn't that surprising since they've never done anything like that before. And because, the Russian space program and the US space program and the Japanese space program, all that have had these hiccups as well early on. So just don't give up. Just keep plugging away, and eventually maybe you'll get one on there, and it'll be good. Because we should go back to the moon. Another bizarre kind of story. An underwater observatory inexplicably vanished from the bottom of a bay, and no scientists know how or why or what happened. It was one of these things that it was there, and then it was gone. And they don't know, and all they have left is, it looks like some cords that it was attached to look like they've been severed. So I don't know if an animal cut it off, or some bizarre portal to another dimension cut it off, or aliens, or what. But the fact is also the observatory is gone also. And I don't think there's anybody in it. I think it was like one of those things that was like for robotic, examinations and stuff like that. But it's gone. So let's see, should I do my movie preview now? Yeah, I'll do a few more little things here. 10-year-old girl invents a space clarinet. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's launching in orbit. I guess it'll play music in space, though you can't hear it. I don't know, but still, a 10-year-old created something called a space clarinet, and I think that's pretty cool. Nicki Minaj, who I really don't like anyway, but I figured I'd just announce this because why not? It's news. Announces her retirement because she wants to start a family. So good for her. She wants to start a family, doesn't want to go on the road anymore, party down. She wants to get settled. Hey, that's perfect. Wonderful. Anti-procrastinating app will delete your novel if you stop typing for 5 minutes. That's what you have to download the app for yourself. So it's not like something's going to happen, automatically. But if you have a fear that you want to write the great American novel, or your novel that's been sitting inside your head, and you sit down to write it, and you just are not being able to concentrate because you are getting, attracted to the phone or TV or naps or food, or you want to go outside or whatever, this app will delete your novel you spent all this time writing on if you stop typing for 5 minutes. So I don't know. Give it a shot. Give it a try. Let's see. Let me see. Maybe I'll just finish up this stuff, and then I'll end the episode on my movie premiere. That's what I'll do. So I'm just going to go through the rest. As I said, I only have one more page of stuff to talk about. This will probably take us up to about 12, which is only about an hour into the show, and then I can get into this, and then we can leave and watch football. So, Christmas tree hair. Christmas is coming, y'all. Yes, it is. It is September 8th today, right? It is September 8th. Christmas is December 25th. September 8th, October 8th, November 8th, December 8th. That's 3 months. Let's just see, roughly 30 days. Technically, Halloween has 31, 30, 30. Let's just say 60. Let's say 91 days. And then 17 days after that. So 91. It's about 108 days left till Christmas, roughly. So, and we all know that as soon as Halloween ends, November 1st, that's when all the Christmas stuff comes out, which is, I find annoying. I wait till after Thanksgiving to do Christmas stuff. But regardless, within that time frame in November, Christmas stuff starts rolling out. So now's the time to do Christmas tree hair. It is an actual hair design where you paint your hair green and you put it up in a pitch like a Christmas tree, and you decorate it with bulbs and lights and stuff like that, and you're celebrating Christmas. Think I should do that? It'd be good. Looks weird. Now, trail cameras. I love trail cameras because you find some really neat stuff on trail cameras. Trail cameras are used mostly by hunters, I guess, to see, or by people who own a lot of property, and they own a lot of wooded property or whatever, and they want to see what's going through their property, what animal-wise. And sometimes it's scientific as well, try to see what animals are living and maybe catch something about their attitude, like how they eat or drink or sleep or procreate or whatever, and in these cameras they put up there. Also, a lot of people use them to try to find Bigfoot also. So, and then you have those videos where you have bizarre trail camera footage, and you've got like demonic people going, Rah! On the screen, or people dressed up and know where the trail cameras are, and there's like dressed as a clown going, I'm going to kill you, that type of stuff. So there are people who, they know that there's a trail camera, they might disguise themselves or do weird things to scare you. But in the majority of the time, it's used to see what's going through your property, catch any burglars or thieves or drifters or whatever also that might be wandering through the woods, any animals that you see that could cause issues. If you've been having some issue where your trash is getting shredded or something like that, and you have a fear that there might be a bear in the area, you put the trail cam up, and then if you happen to see where that might be the path where the bear goes, like, okay, there's a bear there, so we know that there's a bear in your property and stuff like that. And so it's also a way for hunters, as I said, to determine paths of where deer and bears and stuff like, and moose and stuff that they hunt, where they go. So they traverse this area all the time. So let me set up my hunting shack up here, and then I should be able to get a few good deers with that. And then I said scientific stuff as well. But in this case, man was looking at his trail camera footage when he noticed a SWAT team was photographed going through his woods, a SWAT team. Now, that could be any number of things. That could be they were hunting down somebody, uh, a fugitive who happened to be in the woods, and they just happened to set off the trail camera, or they were doing maneuvers or something and forgot to tell the owner of the property that was what was going to happen. But a SWAT team showed up on this guy's trail camera, so that's kind of funny. Country singer Kylie Ray Harris died in a car crash at the age of 30. That's a rest in peace. I'm not a country fan, but the fact that she died so young is a shame. And in car crashes, which conspiracy or whatever, a lot of actors and musicians have died in crashes before. So thoughts and prayers to her family. Woman tosses a decapitated chicken after a domestic dispute. Now, I guess the CDC just went on about not kissing chickens. Well, I wouldn't decapitate them either, unless maybe you're going to eat them, which is what I think people who raise chickens do anyway. They cut off the head and then pluck it, and then somehow are able to drain the juices out of it, the blood and stuff like that, and take the bones out, and you get yourself some chicken breast. But this woman, during a domestic dispute, took a decapitated chicken and threw it. So I guess whatever works. A extraterrestrial mineral never before seen on Earth is found in a meteorite. So they were examining this meteorite, and they discovered a compound that is not of this Earth, but I think they've noticed it on other planets or asteroids or whatever, and they're like, interesting. So that's just more of an interesting type of news story. It's kind of cool. Have scientists finally destroyed the Loch Ness Monster myth? DNA sample that they must have took somewhere, somehow. I don't know how they would get a DNA sample if there's no actual proof of a Loch Ness Monster. But according to scientists who did a DNA sample of something, I don't know what it is, I don't know the whole story behind it, they believe that the Loch Ness Monster may actually be a giant eel and not a plesiosaur or some unforeseen dinosaur monster type of thing that has never been foreseen before. So to be continued. We'll see what happens. I would like to know where they got the DNA from to say that. I didn't read the article, obviously, maybe it told it there, but for me right now, the Loch Ness Monster is still a mysterious creature that I'm interested in and will always be interested in. Speaking of which, telepathy, where I can, how dare you think that stuff? Wow. Or I just telepathically send out messages to Watch Still Knows. Telepathy is going to be possible, according to scientists, for humans within 5 years. Huh? What? How? To be continued. Would you want to be telepathic? Let me ask you that. I mean, yeah, there might be some times where I'd like to maybe know what people are thinking. Maybe use it for not evil means, but other type of means, like what you want me to do in bed, or what you want, where you want to go to dinner, or what you want for a present when you don't tell me, what you actually really, really want, or just what you're thinking about at the time, or what other people are thinking about you. Do you want to have that ability? Or would you want to hone it so that you could actually telepathically talk to someone so nobody knows what you're saying? There's also a possibility. So there's all kinds of interesting things you could do with telepathy. So to be continued, we'll see what happens. Would I want to be telepathic? I don't know. Maybe. You can now rent a Millennium Falcon stroller at Disney World. Obviously, with the Star Wars world opening really soon, they're getting all geared up for that. So if you want to have your kids in a stroller, you can rent a Millennium Falcon version 1 where you're strolling them down Disney and they're pretending to fly the Millennium Falcon. That's great. Fun. This is more Bahamas stuff. A woman in the Bahamas takes in 97 dogs and saves them from the hurricane. They might have been strays and stuff like that, but she brought them in before the hurricane hit, kept them alive and undercover, and we'll see what happens with that. But that's another nice thing that happens. This is kind of a weird thing also with the whole telepathy possible for humans within 5 years. This is something else weird also. Someone actually created a do-it-yourself implant that you can implant into your leg, and it will allow you to stream television, movies, be used as a Wi-Fi area, but it's in your leg. So basically meaning if you don't have Wi-Fi and you're out and about and you have that implant in you, you turn it on. I don't know how. You turn it on and it'll create a Wi-Fi zone where you can use Wi-Fi and not use your minutes. Only thing is you have to get it implanted in your skin. That's why do people even think of that type of thing? Same with this too. A woman scanned her vagina and created a kayak. I'm sorry, scanned her vagina into a 3D printer and created a kayak out of a vagina. I still don't know how 3D printing works, but that's kind of weird stuff, isn't it? This is a good Florida man story. Florida man finds a frog hiding from the hurricane in his wind chimes. So frogs are pretty smart. They knew something was coming, though being in wind chimes, it might not have been the best place to go because, their wind chimes is what they do. You back and forth in the wind. But the frog doesn't know really. And he just wanted to get out of the rain, I guess, and be protected. And, maybe, he might be clanging into stuff, but it might not be too bad. I don't know because I've never been in a wind chime, so I don't know. Pumpkin. I'm actually going to write that. Never been in a wind chime. So when I post this video later, I can say, hey, you can see me say never been in a wind chime. Pumpkin spice donuts that be filled with cheesecake filling, or cheesecake in general, are now available at Krispy Kreme. That just seems to be way sweet overkill. Krispy Kreme is like way sweet overkill anyway as it is. And that just seems even more in excess. But it also sounds quite delicious also. But this week I've gone through some stomach issues. And now my teeth are sort of aching a little bit. So my stomach is okay. It's still a little off, but not as bad as it was. And my head periodically hurts here and there, but I just think the thought of a pumpkin spice donut filled with cheesecake, while it absolutely sounds delightful, the way I am now, if I ate it, my stomach would probably be very angry with me. And I don't want that to happen again because that was not a fun time. Also, now I'm just going to preface something before I get into the story. This is the beginning of football season, obviously. Today is the first day of official football. Granted, Thursday was with the Packers and Bears. But today, you're going to have every team except for 4 playing games today. There are 2 games tomorrow on Monday night because there's always a Monday night game also. But the official kickoff of the NFL is going to be in about an hour and 20 minutes. So what I do during the season is there used to be a Dairy Queen Orange Julius at Towson Town Center, which is where I used to work when I worked at Rainforest Cafe. And for my lunch, every day, well, not every day, but a lot of times I would go down to that place and I would order a pepperoni cheese dog. It's a hot dog covered in pizza sauce with pizza cheese, pepperoni on top of it, and it's steamed because the hot dogs are constantly being cooked. So they're being cooked on there. So why you want to steam it is so you can heat up the pizza sauce and melt the cheese. So you pull a hot dog off of the hot dog roller, put it in a bun, you put this pizza sauce on it, put the mozzarella cheese on it, put a little bit of Italian seasoning on it, pepperoni on top of it. You put it in their little steamer, steam it up. It melts everything and it warms it up and makes it good. And it was delightful. It was absolutely delicious. So they went away. So there's no longer Dairy Queen Orange Julius at Towson Town Center. So now I was like, where am I going to get my fix? So a couple years ago, it's been a few years now, I decided I was going to create something and figure out how to make a pepperoni cheese dog. And you figure you have your hot dogs and you have, pizza sauce and pepperoni and cheese is all available at the grocery store. And you just have to figure out how you're going to cook it and melt at the same time. And that's where the microwave comes in handy. A lot of people cook their hot dogs by boiling it. I used to do that all the time, but now the easy way to do it is you heat up the microwave. If you want to heat up a hot dog in a microwave, you wrap it in a paper towel, you plop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds, you heat it up and you eat it. It might not be the best, but it's cooked enough that you're not going to get sick and it's warm. What I decided to do was, instead of wrapping it in a paper towel, cooking it, and then putting it in the hot dog roll, putting those pieces of sauce on stuff, and then putting it back into the microwave to melt the stuff, I figured, why not just do it all at one time? So I take the raw hot dog, put it in the hot dog bun, put the sauce on it, the cheese on it, the pepperoni on it, put it in the microwave, and put it in for 1 minute, 35 seconds. That way you get the cooking of the hot dog with the 30 seconds there, and maybe a little bit extra because it's going to be covered and not basically surrounded. So it gives you a little bit extra cooking time, and it also will melt the cheese and heat up the sandwich. And when 1 minute 35 is up, boom, you pull it out. It is perfect. So that's my recipe for pepperoni cheese dogs. Now I bring this up because a few weeks ago, I talked about pumpkin spice Spam, which just sounds absolutely disgusting. It's an actual thing. It's not an onion thing. It's an actual thing that's out in stores now. Well, guess what? There's a channel on Facebook that shows how you make recipes, stuff like that. They created a pumpkin spice hot dog. I don't think I watched it because I think that just sounds disgusting. I think it might have something to do with, you get a little bit of that canned pumpkin on it, maybe. It just doesn't sound enticing to me. It might be. It just doesn't sound good to me. So I thought I'd throw that out there. You ever have a Little Tikes? Those cars, plastic red, that you could sit in and you would, you can pedal. Usually would be how you move the car. Sometimes you use your feet, whatever. Well, they're pretty famous, and I didn't put this in the story because I think I talked about before. A car company is actually creating a Little Tikes car that adults can drive that goes up to 70 miles per hour. So they're doing that. So it's as I said, but it's done in the same format, the yellow top and the red body and stuff like that. Well, this creative dad, he had got his 2 kids, Little Tikes, but instead of them being the typical red and yellow sort of things, he fabricated it so that they looked like some of the trucks and cars from Mad Max. And I think that's very creative when you can do something like that, and a lot of fun as well. So that's good on that. Cat wakes up his owner by playing guitar. I guess that's kind of interesting where you've got the guitar sitting in your bedroom and you're sleeping. All of a sudden your cat goes over and starts its claws and starts going, dring, dring, dring. It would wake you up. So that's kind of clever that cat found out that, hey, that's what that works out good for. A man builds a house over a pond so he can fish from his living room. And that's creative. There's a pond that's got, fish in it, and you like to go fishing there all the time. The house is down at the Outer Banks and by the beach. You have specific ways that are built so that if the ocean floods or whatever, it doesn't flood your house. They're like up on stilts and stuff like that. If you've ever been down to the Outer Banks or South Carolina, whatever, or even up some of the beaches along the eastern coast, you'll see that a lot of these houses that are right on the beach, they have these stilt things so that if a hurricane does roll through or the tide is way, way high and it starts going under your house, it will not leak into your house. It's like your garage storage area, and it'll sweep out underneath the house and out into the road, so that does not affect your house. So this guy built the same thing. He built a house up on stilts over this pond so that the water, if it goes high or whatever, it won't damage his house. And so he just go from his living room and catch stuff. So that's clever, and I like that too. People are inhaling vodka gas from balloons in the UK to get drunk quicker. Now, I don't know how you get vodka gas, but that's what they said, and they're inhaling it in a United Kingdom bar. It's supposed to make you get drunk faster. So I don't know how they do it or what. When I first read, I thought that they drank vodka from balloons. I was like, well, what's the benefit of that? But then I read it a little closer. It's like, no, there's a gas. I guess they trap in there, and you suck it up, and it gets you drunk quicker. So I don't know. Um, and then there was a connection. I want to do that. Oh yeah, the Scottish distillery created a Brussels sprout flavored gin. I was like, why would you do that? I mean, I don't like gin as it is, and I don't like Brussels sprouts. Why would you make a Brussels sprouts gin? It makes no sense, really. A boy who loves magnet fishing, which is, I guess, where you don't actually fish for fish, but you have magnets and you throw it into the water, and the magnets will attract any metal objects that are in ponds, stuff like that. Like if you want to, maybe it might be a way to clean out a pond if people throw their cans or stuff like that, metal cans and stuff like that in there. In this case, the kid pulled out a bunch of guns and a grenade. So apparently somebody was trying to hide this stuff in this pond. So they threw it in there, and this kid, sends out, and then he's pulling stuff up. He's like, it's a gun. It's a grenade. Wow. Now, I almost didn't tell this story because I remember last year when there was a hurricane around this time, a similar story popped up. And I don't know if it's just a story they bring back every year or if this actually did happen, because I saw a couple of other reputable news agencies tell the story. So I'll just tell it again. Bricks of cocaine have been washing ashore in Florida after Hurricane Dorian. Now, again, when I saw that headline, I was like, I know I talked about that before. And I think it was when the hurricane that hit last year around this time, there was a story that said, hey, this is, bricks of cocaine are washing up. We don't know what it's from a boat that capsized that was carrying the cocaine, or was it buried in the water, or was it washed out somebody's house? We don't know. So I thought that was an interesting story. But then when I saw this again, I was like, I'm wondering if this is one of those stories that they'll bring up every year. There's a hurricane near Florida. But the fact is that what threw me this time was other reputable sources like, yeah, this is really happening. So same thing with, I almost told the story about the photo of a dolphin that was supposedly seen jumping in a film of hurricane devastation. As a hurricane wave was coming through, a dolphin was jumping out and was taken a photo of. That supposedly is from a 2004 thing that they keep again posting every year. There's like a massive hurricane. There's some other ones also. I think there's like sharks being found swimming in the streets or something like that, is from a photo from a previous hurricane or something like that. So it happened, but it didn't happen this year. So I'm telling the story now, but I think it's not either a real story. It's a story that's already happened. It's when they pull out every year. Hey, hurricane, what should we tell stories about? Oh yeah, let's tell them a story about, bricks of cocaine that washed up onto shore in Florida. Actually, they just called it Florida this year. It was Miami last year where they said it was Florida. They rolled up in Miami. So we'll see next year at this time if there's another hurricane. There's another story about bricks of cocaine that wash up there. I will probably not mention it, or maybe I will. I said, hey, see, this is the same story over and over again. So we'll see. That's about a year from now. Maid of honor was told she could wear anything she wanted to her best friend's wedding. Anything. So the maid of honor showed up in a Tyrannosaurus costume. Now, I won my company Halloween party wearing a similar Tyrannosaurus costume, which is one of those where it blows up around you and it's a big giant one. And they're a lot of fun. And there's videos of people doing all kinds of weird things, dances and the ninja course and shoveling snow and mowing the lawn and riding on skateboards and on, skis and skiing and stuff like that, wearing these dinosaur costumes. So the fact that a maid of honor came to her best friend's wedding dressed as a dinosaur is funny, but in the end, and I think the best friend was cool with it. That's why she did it, I would assume. But the fact of the matter was, you could wear anything you wanted, she said, and she ended up wearing a dinosaur costume. Now that reminds me, could she have worn her pajamas, or would she wear bra and panties? Would she wear her swimsuit, a bikini? She could have done all that. Just Wonder Woman costume, who knows? I'm just thinking about women in costumes. Anyway, Oh yeah, Florida man parks his smart car in his kitchen so it won't blow away in a hurricane. Now that's actually kind of smart because smart cars are small, compact, and they're probably pretty light. Um, he parked it in the kitchen so that it wouldn't blow around and blow away, and so it would still be within the framework of the house. So that's a kind of a clever thing to do about that. Student lands airplane after his instructor passes out while training him. This is the student's the first time in an airplane. And so the instructor was teaching him how to fly up in the air when the instructor passed out. So the person had to do something and ended up flying the plane and landing it. Now that reminds me of another story which I didn't bring up, but apparently there was somebody who was getting ready to go on a round the world trip, and he got on the airplane but then discovered that the pilot just never showed up and he wanted it to do his trip. So somehow he was able to convince people that he could fly an airplane like that and actually flew the airplane to where it was going. So maybe he was a pilot. I don't know. Space hotel with anti-gravity is supposed to be launched in 2025, meaning if you want to spend the weekend in space and you don't want to float around, you want to walk around like they do in Star Wars and Star Wars and Star Trek, stuff like that, this hotel will have anti-gravity protection or gravity protection, whatever you want to call it, so that you'll be able to walk in space and not float around like they do in space. Now that makes me think, if they have that already, why don't spaceships have that now? Or why doesn't the space station that we have floating around the Earth right now have that now too? Why haven't we built more stuff with this anti-gravity or gravity, whatever you want to call it, aspect to it? But the fact is, by 2025, which is only 6 years away, you're actually going to build a hotel, launch it into space, and have created a way that you'll still be able to walk around and not float. I find it highly dubious, but hey, come back here in 2025. I still got my show going on, and I will be the first person to eat crow if it actually happens. Armed thieves attempt to steal the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Now, this Popeye chicken sandwich thing is so weird because they're stealing directly from Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich, everything even down to the pickle on top of it. And yet people are going absolutely nutso for these chicken sandwiches. It's the difference being this is the Popeyes chicken instead of the Chick-fil-A chicken in the sandwich. So if you like the Popeye chicken and you like the Chick-fil-A sandwich, well, then there you go. But they did not believe the popularity of it, that there were lines forming to get it, and they ran out of them. So they're supposed to get some more back in. So because of it being so popular, sort of similar like the McRib when they brought that back, people, would do anything to get it. So apparently a bunch of people who were armed tried to steal some of these Popeye chicken sandwiches. Okay. Police were called to shut down a huge hide and seek game inside of IKEA. Now that would probably be a fun place to do, and I'm assuming it's an adult version of hide and seek. It would be a fun place to do a hide and seek game, but if you get a lot of people to do it, it could disturb a lot of things. So I guess it was okay with the police coming in and shutting them down. An errant throw by a Notre Dame quarterback breaks a cheerleader's nose. So you always got to be careful about stuff that comes around like that. So be aware out there. So hopefully she'll be okay. It wasn't done on purpose, but it does happen. Hammocks are being sold now that can fit under your desk so you can nap at work. I'm not a big hammock fan anyway. And then to have it it wouldn't fit under my desk anyway, so I couldn't do that. But it's a thing. So go for it. The final story before I get to my fall movie preview. Italy erects an Iron Man statue as a thank you for his sacrifice in Avengers Endgame. Now, I think they're joking. They know Iron Man was a fictional character and Robert Downey Jr. is still alive and blah, blah, blah. But they erected a statue of Iron Man in one of their towns as a way to say thank you for your sacrifice, Tony. So whatever, it's fine. I was going to mention this before. One of the three, there were 3 new trailers that came out this week. One was a teaser for the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. It comes out in February. The full trailer probably come out later in the year. But this was just a teaser to get you excited for it. And it's going to be attached to the It Chapter 2 that's out now this week, because it starts off as a similar It thing, you know, with the music and the balloons and stuff like that. And that's Harley saying, I'm so sick of clowns. Hence her relationship with Joker is being destroyed there. And then you get a couple of different shots of her doing stuff. And then you get some shots of the other Birds of Prey. And then you see her in the car with her hyenas. So she's going to be doing that. So it looks like they're going to be bringing her more into what the comics look like. So, hey, that'd be great to see that, and be a good one to see that. Now, they also did the Bad Boys for Life trailer, the 3rd Bad Boys film with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. And the only thing I can glean from that was that Martin Lawrence looks old, and he's gotten to the point where he's like the Danny Glover sort of character, but he seems to be not as athletic as Danny Glover was in the Lethal Weapon movies. But it looks like it's another, I don't know if Bay is directing it, but it looks like another shoot 'em up cop thing, Will Smith being Will Smith, you know, which is a refreshing thing, might make some good money for it. And that doesn't come out till January. And then the last one was the new extended trailer for Jojo Rabbit, which has now become my new favorite movie that I want to see this fall. And I'll talk about a little bit later when I do my preview. And it just gives you a better idea of what the story's going to be about. And it's a satire about Nazis, and it looks really good. So that's it for that. So we're going to do the fall movie preview now. And real quick, one more note before I move on. This is episode 312, but due to other circumstances over the last couple of years where I've done double episodes, and I did 2 episodes in a weekend, stuff like that, 312 should actually have been, which is what this episode is, should have been my episode next week, because next week is my 6-year anniversary. And 312 is when you've done 6 years of 52 weeks, because my show's weekly. So when you multiply 6 times 52, you get 312. So this episode should effectively be my 6-year anniversary. But the thing is, though, I did not start the show until September 15th, 16th, somewhere around there. That's next week. So because, as I said, because of all the myriad of different things I've done over the years, this episode is not actually 312, or it is, but it isn't, that type of thing. And what you're going to need to see is next week's episode 313 will actually be my 6-year anniversary. So 6 years doing the show. Wow. Or starting my 6th year, rather, I should say. I just finishing up my 5th year. So 5 years of doing the show, and I'm embarking on my 6th year. That's what I should be saying. So the fall movie preview. Now, I'm just going to do this real quick because I don't get Entertainment Weekly anymore, and I have never been able to find it anywhere. I mean, it's at Barnes & Noble, but, you know, sometimes they have old issues out, and you don't know when the new ones are coming out, and you don't know when the fall preview is, and they always do a really good fall preview. So I'm just going to do, these are just the movies that I got off of a website that are coming out. I don't know much about them. I might know a little bit about some of them. I'll tell you my interest level for it, but these are movies that are coming out this year when they're coming out. Obviously, this weekend kicks off the fall season. It's September, summer movie season goes from May to September, basically May, June, July, August, and then September is the beginning of the fall season. So It Chapter 2 came out this weekend. It's probably going to make a good amount of money. The first one did really good. It's a more gory and maybe a more actual retelling of the novel by Stephen King. The first movie was very successful, so obviously we're going to do a second one, and they should have done it anyway because the first film just focused on the kids, and the story itself focuses on both the kids and adults, so you need to make one with the adults in it. They did now, and so we're going to finish up the story there. So that's rolling out. It'll probably make a lot of money this week, and it's going to be the big winner, and probably one of the bigger blockbusters of the fall. 9/13 which is actually, yes, that's true. There's a Friday the 13th coming up this week. So this Friday coming up is Friday the 13th. There's only one movie that I saw coming out, and I've been seeing trailers for this because it's going to be a dramatic Academy Award sort of fodder film called The Goldfinch. And I've seen the trailers with Yesterday and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And the basic premise is about, I think it's based on a novel, and a boy is with his mom, and they're looking at an art museum in England, I think, and they're in a room that has this goldfinch painting, and the boy's obsessed with it. He loves it. And just so happens that that day, a terrorist bombing hits that art museum, and it kills the boy's mother, and the goldfinch painting has disappeared. And so we follow the boy as he's trying to recover from his life without his mother and being there when she died due to the terrorist bombing, and going through life, stuff like that, and being obsessed with this goldfinch painting and stuff like that. And some people believe that he actually stole it during this whole trying to figure out what was going on with the terrorist bombing type of thing. So that's just what I got from the trailer. But as I said, it looks again like it's a dramatic sort of film. And again, I'm just doing stuff off the top of my head. I might know who some of the actors are who are in it, but I honestly, I can't remember names right now because I'm sort of in that sort of weird zone right now that I'm just writing down information for you. Now, 20th of September gets you a bunch of films. Ad Astra, which is the one that has Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones in it, which is a space drama. I think basically what I saw the trailer for that one is Tommy Lee Jones was a astronaut and father, Brad Pitt, who was going on an exploration of deep space, but then disappeared. And so now it's Brad Pitt's turn to try to find him. So that's what that's about, I think. Downton Abbey, the movie version of the TV show. The TV show ended a while back. This is a, epilogue sort of for the show. So it brings back all your characters, and a story where I saw a trailer for this. Also looks like the Queen is going to stay at Downton Abbey. So everyone is getting all excited about that and getting the house ready for the arrival of the Queen. And you get, fans of the show are gonna see it. I've never watched the show, so it's not on my list, but it's coming out though. So I know people who do. Rambo Last Blood is going to be the last Rambo movie. It looks like they're going to be trying to do sort of a Logan type of film for them. And, it's the last Rambo movie was back in the 80s. So it's been years since they did a Rambo movie. And Rambo was the personification of the 1980s with his American long hair, big muscle, Sylvester Stallone type, going into foreign countries and just killing everything under the sun with unlimited ammo and rah, rah, America, kicking ass and taking names. And that's Rambo 2 and 3. The first one was more about a return of a guy who fought in Vietnam, returning to his home and being hunted down by a sadistic, and that was a different sort of thing. But it went from that to the rah, 80s sort of thing. This has him returning back home to America, trying to retire in peace. And I guess he has a niece or something like that, and she comes stay with him. But then some dudes that come and either rape her, kill her, or something like that. And so Rambo gets his revenge on and hunts him down. So it's basically a revenge movie, Rambo being Rambo. So again, I've never been the biggest Rambo fan, but it's Sylvester Stallone still trying to hold on to his young stuff, but he's also trying, I think, to do a Logan sort of style send off to the character. So we'll see what happens. And I've never been a big fan of Rob Zombie's movies because I just think his gore is way over the top and his horror is way over the top. And I'm not a big fan of that. But his movie 3 from Hell, which is sort of a sequel to one of his other films about 3 psychopaths, is coming back. New one. Come out 9/20. 9/27 is a cartoon that's not done by Pixar or Disney. It's called Abominable, and it looked adorable. And I saw the trailer for it before one of the movies I watched. I forget which one it was, but it looks adorable. And it's about a girl who discovers an abominable snowman. And it's not like a Disneyfication. I don't think the snowman talks. And I think the girl is trying to get him back to his family or something like that. So it's going to be one of these. It's a cute, sweet-looking cartoon and not a goofy Disney sort of film. October 4th brings a huge movie that everybody is seemingly wants to see. I will see it because I'm going to be taking that day off. It's my anniversary, and I'm going to surprise my wife with lunch. But I'm going to go see it, even though I'm not excited enough to see it, but I just want to see it because it's already getting Oscar buzz. It won the Venice Film Festival. It's Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips, and it's a origin to Joker, and it's getting a lot of flack because it's already been shown, so people have seen it. There've been reviews. The reviews have been mostly stellar, but then there are the people who've gleaned on the message being, we don't want to see a movie about a white guy whose life is awful, and and he becomes a serial murderer, and we want to feel bad for him for being a serial murderer because of all the shit that happens to him and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm going to see it just because I know it's probably going to get some Oscar noms, and I want to do a better job of trying to see more Oscar-nominated films, hence Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and more adult films, yesterday films that aren't superhero movies, which, as I said, I love sci-fi movies, horror movies like that. I want to try to expand my film experiences a little bit. So I'll go see this, and we'll see. So that weekend, I will probably give you some kind of review of it and let you know what I think about it. The first trailer they revealed for it, I didn't like it at first, but then I kept rewatching it. I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. The second trailer they released for it was just there's just something about it just doesn't seem right. And I found out that Robert De Niro is now in it also, sort of doing a take on The King of Comedy, which is one of my favorite Scorsese movies. So we'll see what happens. I'm still going to see it, and we'll see. October 11th brings the double dose of Will Smith in Gemini Man, which is a film that's been trying to get made for years. At one time, Harrison Ford was involved in it. Great premise, though, of a older person has to take on a younger version of himself that was cloned from him. So he's like, it would be basically sort of be like, someone cloned me. I mean, I'm 40. God, what am I? 46? Yes, 46 years old. I'm 46, and somebody cloned me and is sending 20-year-old me after me. Younger, stronger, faster. Well, really wasn't, but still, that's my point. So that's basically what they're doing with this. So you're going to have Will Smith doing double duty, and they're going to de-age him in the computer so he looks like he's 20 some years old, like he just walked off the set of his Parents Just Don't Understand video, that type of thing. And it's going to be an action film directed by Ang Lee. So that actually looks really good as well. And check that out. There's also going to be a animated version of The Addams Family. The Addams Family values live action versions back in the early 90s were spectacular, but I guess The Addams Family would be better suited for an animated film because you can do more wild and crazy stuff than maybe you could in a live action film. So you got that coming up on 10/11, just in time for Halloween. October 18th, you got the Zombieland Double Tap, the sequel to Zombieland. The original Zombieland was like 10, 15 years ago. So you got the entire cast back together again, and they're doing a sequel. I saw the trailer for it. It looked pretty interesting. I enjoyed the first one, but I don't know if I'll see the second one. We'll see. Maleficent with Angelina Jolie, which was a huge hit for Disney a few years ago, telling the story of Sleeping Beauty, but from the witch's viewpoint. Well, she made it to a sequel where she's going to be taking on Charlize Theron, I believe, White Queen in some form or another. So that should be interesting. Take a look at. So it's going to be Maleficent, Madam of Evil, or I can't really read my writing there. And then the aforementioned Jojo Rabbit, which was the trailer that came out this week. It's directed by Taika Waititi, and he's also co-stars in it as Adolf Hitler. And the basic premise is about a 10-year-old boy who is in the young Nazi group in Nazi Germany. His imaginary friend is Adolf Hitler, and the little boy is starting to doubt what he sees the Nazis enjoying and doing and stuff like that, but he still is nationalistic about stuff and wants to be a Nazi and wants to be nationalistic. And his mother is played by Scarlett Johansson. And we find out in this trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything. In the trailer, we discover that his mom has been hiding a Jewish girl in their house, and he doesn't know how to react to that. And so it also has Sam Rockwell in it. And it's going to take place sort of at a Nazi kids camp, and it's a satire, it's comedy. It just is a really good trailer, and it should be a really interesting movie. So I'm going to try to see that um, as well. Again, trying to fit into my grown-up mold type of thing. November 1st brings us another Terminator film. This one is Terminator Dark Fate, which basically is Terminator 3 again. They are basically retconning all the other Terminators from Terminator 3 to Genesis to that one with Christian Bale as if they didn't exist. And this is the actual one that follows Terminator 2. So we'll see. Linda Hamilton comes back. Arnold Schwarzenegger's back as well. Edward Furlong is back as well. And we also get a bunch of other new characters as well. So we'll see. I'm not that interested in it. We'll see. That weekend also has the release of Harriet, which is a biopic about Harriet Tubman. Saw the trailer to that one before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and actually I found it intriguing, particularly being a history major, and it's interesting to see such a thing. A actual looks like a